as I gather some hate for myself.
I like smelly talk.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too. So here's the scoop. I feel like every generation finds something to fuss about from the younger ones, right? There's the me generation, etc. What I've seen now, and I fear that it's fostered by a lot of our leaders, is a lack of hope. Like if there is a message that I get from Bernie Sanders, it's that like there is no hope. Don't you see the rich are so rich that you can't be one of them? Don't you see that this can't happen? I remember I told my father-in-law I'd be a millionaire by 40. And I don't know if I hit that or not, but whatever. I think so. But
you netted it, yeah.
Yeah, I think something like that.
Yeah.
So but anyway, I he would check up with me like, you still think you're on track? You still think you're on track? And I'm like, I don't know. I sure hope so. And
I don't like your in-laws. I don't like how mean they are to you people. They're so mean. It's so mean.
I could go on. You know the backstories.
If you said that to my dad and like he had the same relationship, he'd be like, "I hear you, brother. That's good. That's real good. When a young man like you thinking like that's what I like to see." That's what he'd say. He'd be getting behind you, be like, "Have you thought about doing this with your money? Have you thought about doing that? Be careful about this." Like it'd be advice and like motivation and. Oh, I hate that he was like, "You on track? You still on track, Mr. Millionaire?"
I would like to think it was a little more supportive than that. Like he always thought I was doing good in my career, but it was somewhere in between where your dad would be and how you describe him. But I liked him. I liked him a lot. But yeah, I've got in-law issues. Fucking in-law issues. So back on topic. I feel like there's a lack of hope right now. And I was talking on Reddit today or something, and someone's like, "Surely, Woody, you don't think you can just will yourself to be a millionaire anymore, do you?" And that is how you do it.
Not put that simply, but that's like overstating the simplicity of what your idea behind the sentiment was to the point of it like a total straw man, you know? You weren't just saying like, I'm going to hope for money real hard my whole life and then maybe it'll work, but like there's a difference between that and just knowing that you have to work hard for it.
I work with a lot of companies that are like in the firearms industry that are kind of new and verging companies that have a new product that they've come up with or a new way to do things. And so I'm oftentimes meeting guys who are self-made, like small businessmen who have come up with, millions of dollars and stuff like that. You can do it. You just have to find your own way. There might not be an A, B, C, D like way to do it, but it's got to come from inside you. It seems like I mean, I know a guy who his invention is like he invented high capacity magazines for certain guns, and he invented a grenade launcher that shoots nets, and now he's a millionaire. Like he worked at something. He had a passion for engineering and computer aided drafting and all that stuff. He's became an engineer. He worked at it, and he came up with a product. He got it on the market, and now he's a millionaire.
There's a couple ways to do it. Like there's more than one. There's like you're talking about people who have an idea, make a business, etc. And usually like have an idea. Oh well, shucks. I guess I'll just sit here watching Netflix until my idea hits me. Like no, typically these people have a passion and have an interest that's deeper than like the casual consumption vibe that you're into, right? They're tinkering, etc. But you can do it. You can start a business. The other idea is to do it slowly. I made a video on how to invest, and over 22 years. And people say, "Well, Woody, I couldn't possibly set aside this much a month." Like, okay, I get that. For the first 4 years, if you drop that $1,000 a month to $500 a month while you're getting yourself on your feet, and then you become a millionaire. Instead of it was 22 years, it was like 25. Like it wasn't even that hurtful. You can save, or you can come up with the blockbuster idea and pursue it so doggedly that you won't be denied. But I feel like now there's this culture, and I'm sure there's lots of exceptions, but there's this culture of like, oh, it's now impossible. Like all middle wage classes aren't going up like they used to be. That's getting crushed, etc. Let me tell you Bernie Sanders stat, right? PolitiFact just talked about this recently. He was saying that like 99% of the wealth gain went to the top 1%. That is only true if you're a lying douchebag. I'll explain. It happened from 2009 to 2012. And if you remember right, for whatever reason, the stock market crashed, right? Like at the end of the Bush term and at the start of the Obama thing. You guys might remember McCain like pulled out of the race. Like, I'm going to stop campaigning for 2 weeks and fix the economy. And he meets in front of the Senate and like falls asleep because he's 123 years old. And
Kept him in a bamboo cage, Woody.
Yeah.
Bamboo cage.
Younger than Bernie.
Oh, so anyway, I don't know if that's true or not. But anyway, back on topic, there was a huge stock market crash, the bailouts, all that stuff around like 2008, 2009. And then the stock market recovered, but the jobs didn't really come back. The wages didn't really come back. Like, just people job seeking were in a really rough spot, and profits kind of rebounded, or perhaps the crash in the stock market was an overcorrection, and then that just came back to more, appropriately valued.
Well, wouldn't the bailouts factor into this? Those billions of dollars that are being pumped into industry, wouldn't that like inflate these numbers as well?
They could be. Those were loans to banks to help them meet their thing. Maybe. I know they also did a bunch of other things like Section 179 deductions and shit. But the point is, the companies got profitable and their stocks went up, but wages didn't. And this happened from 2009 to 2012. Now, from 2012 to present, the middle class is doing better. They are getting things. There's competition for employees again, whereas before there was only competition for jobs. And I feel like Bernie's kind of cherry picking his years there. Like, oh, did you know that this has happened? Yeah, only for that particular subset of years. Don't act like it's the new normal. But while I wouldn't argue that the middle class isn't as big and powerful as it once was, and it's certainly a lot harder to achieve the American dream than it once was. It seemed like there was a working wage at one time where like one provider could go to a manual labor job and somehow support a family and a house and have a car and all those things. While that seems much more difficult now. I think it's ridiculous to say that like you can't go out there and make it on your own, because it's just like, well, if it's 20% harder, you have to work 20% harder, whatever it may be. Like, it's just a matter of if you're going to do it or not. I feel like there's there's lots of trajectories to hit that mark. I was watching this Casey Neistat video, and while I have a slightly different twist on it, and I might make my own version, he held up these cardboards, and he's like, the only thing between you and your goals, and he puts a third one on there, is doing it. And while that's a little simple, it's like there are a lot of people complaining that they could never get their goal, but they're not doing any steps to do it. And maybe it's just the young people I find on the internet or, whatever. It's like, do it. Be a doer. Be a thing. Be a maker. Be a happener. There are so many people buying into this idea that like, well, I can't go to college because there's $100,000 in debt. Horse shit. I can't start a business because, I don't have it. You can't do that anymore. Horse shit.
People who say stuff like that pointed, like, oh, I have $200,000 of college debt if I decide to go, so just throw the rest of my dreams in the toilet. Like, and internet forums where you're going to see comments like that, everybody already has their mind made up, and they're just going to make, whatever their position is, just unassailable by making it seem so unrealistic.
And I don't know what their alternative is. It's like, it's so hard to do anything. Okay, so bank robber then? Is that your next move? or are you really going to wait for that gravy train to show up? Because even if you elect Bernie Sanders, and even if he wants to do all those things he promised, and even if he can do them, you're going to starve by the time that motherfucker starts paying your bills, dude. You better start working. Like,
yeah.
You can't be waiting for that. I don't understand. I see that. There's a lot of negativity there, and I understand, like, the numbers are different than they once were. It's not the 1950s. It's a different economy.
I feel like that people lean on that as an excuse, as a reason not to try it.
It is an excuse. Well, it's not. It shouldn't be a reason not to try. But I don't think it's fair when sometimes you've got baby boomers say, "Well, I did it. I did this, and I did that, and I did this." And it's like, well, yeah, you were in a post-World War II economy where most of the industrialized nations in the world had just been destroyed by you and your friends. Everybody needed your incredible manufacturing because, you just built, you're not building B-17s anymore. You can build anything you want. Of course, it's a perfect storm for a magical economy. and that's the United States in the 50s. So, but it's not fair to compare that to like these millennials now who are, they have some strong points there.
Dude,
but I don't think it's a reason to throw your hands up in the air and be like,
2045, they're going to be saying, "Oh my God, it was so easy back in 2015. Like the internet was new. All you had to do was make a social app, and everyone would start taking pictures or sending tweets or this and that." Today, the internet, it's not like it was. It is so. What do they use for the Call of Duty market? Saturated, right? The internet is completely saturated. The businesses are all created. All you can do is,
I don't know if they'll say that then. I think it's fair to say that now about the early internet. I think we all know that. That it seemed like there was a time, and at that time I knew nothing about the internet. I don't even think I had a computer, but I just kept hearing about all these .com companies that were just registered domains that were worth millions, and these companies were being valued in the millions, and they had like 8 employees.
Companies were solving tech problems that it took the greatest minds to solve. Right now, I can literally put shit in the cloud and have someone else deal with all my infrastructure. Back when, I'm trying to think of an old one, MySpace was firing up. They had to solve scalability issues that had never been solved before. Back when eBay was going, it was like, how'd they do that? We'd look at Amazon. I remember Google Maps. When Google Maps started using Ajax, which is how they, Ajax, I forget what it stands for, but it's something JavaScript Exchange or who the fuck knows. I used to. And it used to be everything on the internet was kind of form-based, and a lot of it still is. Like you type, it sends it there, they send it back, etc. I remember the companies would have remote controls on the internet, and you literally would type like 1, 3, and then hit submit, and that's how it worked. And it just, everything on the internet was just submit. And then Google Maps comes along, or Google Type Ahead. Like as I start typing star, it types ahead ship and shows me all these things. Like you're not hitting any. Every keystroke is sending back and forth. With Google Maps, like I'm dragging it and it's repainting the thing. That was huge. They were solving problems that had never been solved before. Whereas today, I feel like a lot of internet companies are new ideas, but existing solutions.
Asynchronous JavaScript and XML.
Thank you. Asynchronous JavaScript.
That's a mouthful.
So, anyway, if I could get just a couple people, it would be worth the rant to say, you know what? I am going to do it. I've got a dream. I've got a thing. Whether it be an early step like education or a late step like starting your business or pursuing your idea, or just whatever you're kicking around telling yourself you can't do, just fucking do it. Stop listening to people tell you that there aren't opportunities anymore, because there completely are.
Yeah. I think it's going to go the complete opposite direction of what you said earlier, where in like 10 or 15 years everyone in I guess me and Kyle's generation, people, I guess millennials that's born after 81, right? But anyway, so they're going to look back and talk about how they survived, this terrible era, and how all these new kids nowadays have no idea what it was like for us. It was way harder, and like I can see a flip going on, where it's everybody's going to think that it was so much harder now than it really is now, because it's going to be overshadowed by when it does get better in the next few years.
Dude, no, because when I was young, they were saying there were no opportunities then too. And that was the .com days. It was too late. It was I can't remember a time when they didn't act like the 50s were the era that we wish we were in, except for probably the 50s.
It's never going to catch up to the 50s though. It was just like you said, the perfect storm of opportunity everywhere. I
don't even know. That was long before I was born. Was it that good?
Yeah, for all those reasons I mentioned.
Just watch Leave It to Beaver. It's great.
So we had crippled all these other major economies. Even the Russians, they were all fucked up. Everybody was in a bad spot except for us, really. And, the war had touched them. We were over here in North America, all safe. Nobody was hitting us. Nobody was destroying our factories, bombing our people.
I bet everyone smelled bad.
No,